Hey everybody, this is Brian, head tutor from ScoreBeyond, coming at you from ScoreBeyond headquarters in sunny Menlo Park, California. Let's tackle our ACT question of the day, which happens to be a math question. Now this math question is a typical function question in that it uses the essential components of functions, input and output. Let's consider what to do with the input and output by considering what the question asks for. This question asks for what value or values of x is f of g of x equal to 16. So f of g of x looks weird, it looks hard, but it still comes back to input and output. Anytime you have a function, I'm going to make a hypothetical function like h of x equals 2x. Anytime you have a function, if you change the input located inside the parentheses, say we changed x to the number 3. We've changed the input. Well, we should change anywhere else we see x in this equation or this function. H of 3 is then going to become 2 times 3. We changed x to 3, so we'll change this x to 3 as well. That awareness of the essential quality of input for functions is going to help us solve this problem. So going back to what the question's asking for, f of g of x looks complicated, but really we could break it down to input and output. In this case, the output is 16. It's the value of the function at the end of all the mechanics of the function. Inside the parentheses is still the input. In this case, the placeholder for the input is another function, g of x. Now g of x as a whole also represents the output. For the function g, the x inside the parentheses is an input. However, we're not so much concerned with the input for g of x because it's being used here as its output value, the whole g of x. And in the equation that the problem gave us for g of x, we can see that the output is 4x, the thing that it equals in the end after all the mechanics of the function happen. So to simplify what the question's asking for, let's change the input from g of x to what it equals, 4x. Okay, a little simpler. F of 4x equals 16. Let's also consider what the question told us about the function f by itself, without all this weird g of x business. F of x equals x squared. The same principle about input applies that if we change what's inside the parentheses, that x, then we have to change all the x's in the problem, like this x in the term x squared. So when we see f of 4x, we should actually take 4x and apply it to the x squared, which would give us f of 4x equals 4x squared, which in the end gives us an output of 16. It's similar to how we changed the 3 in this function up at the top. We change the input to 3, so we change all the other x's to 3. In this case, we change x to 4x, so we change all the other x's to 4x. Okay. So now that we have this 4x squared equals 16, we can start to solve for x and get a better idea of what the question's asking. First, we could distribute the exponent 2 throughout the 4x term. And if you were to do that, you would solve the problem easily. However, since 16 is a square, I'm just going to square both sides to get rid of that exponent. So we have 4x equals, let's see, 16. Square root of 16 is 4. However, remember that when you square root, you could get two possibilities of positive 4 or negative 4. If we divide both sides by 4, then we have x equals plus or minus 1. Okay, so there you go. X could equal positive or negative 1, which happens to be answer C, and that is the right answer for this question. So technically a hard function problem, but it all comes back to the basics of what a function actually is. And if you treat functions like that on a test, you'll do a lot better on them. If you'd like extra help on function questions like this one, or in the math section in general, tap the tutoring button at the bottom of the screen. Or if you're reading in the blog, scroll to the bottom and click on the tutoring banner down there. Our tutors can help you break functions down and make them a breeze on the ACT. All right, see you next time.